Hello, and welcome to podcast.drchuck.com. My name is Charles Severance, and I'm the host of this podcast. This podcast is recorded and broadcast live on YouTube. About once a month, I have live open office hours with my online students on Coursera and other learning platforms. Each month, I come up with a topic to talk about for 30 to 40 minutes, then spend the rest of the 2-hour live event as an Ask Me Anything, answering whatever questions come up in chat. You can find either the previous or next live event at live.drchuck.com, and you can find my YouTube channel at plus.drchuck.com. And my online programming courses are available at online.drchuck.com. Welcome to the podcast. Hello everybody, and welcome to my live stream. I'm getting better at this. I had used a scheduled live stream and a countdown and some music and all that stuff. So let me go ahead and get my PowerPoint ready, because today I'm going to do a PowerPoint. Do a PowerPoint and talk a little bit about my car racing hobby and make fun of generative AI, and I'll talk about that for about 30 or 35 minutes, and then we'll just go into questions and answers, whatever questions and answers that you find interesting. Let me go ahead and get this chat to pop out. Can I pop the chat out? Pop out chat. There we go. Make that a little bigger. There we go. Yeah, I'm using the music from my thing. So let me go ahead and switch to my screen. I think I can get my little split screen guy in there as well. There we go. So hello. And like I said, I'm going to talk for about 35 minutes. I really like this format because I have all these talks that it would be great if I could get invited to give a talk. But then I don't get invited, and so away we go. So today I want to talk about my car racing hobby, and at the end talk a little bit about generative AI, and mostly make fun of generative AI. That'll be a theme of mine. I love generative AI, but I think everyone's got to take it down a notch. And so here is a general outline of my talk. So I race in a racing series called the 24 Hours of Lemons, and I'll talk a little bit about the 24 Hours of Lemons. I'll talk about the racetrack I race at, the cars that I've built and raced, and some results, and invite you to come and visit me at the racetrack. You can find out where I'm going to be. I'll be in Chicago at Joliet, July 12th-ish. You can go look at the 24 Hours of Lemons. So it's kind of cool and kind of ironic, and you will... a metronome is running in the background. Oh, okay, I'll fix the metronome. There goes your metronome. Okay, that's a fan. And so it's an interesting time right now. Because this past weekend, like 2 days ago, 48 hours ago, the 24 Hours of Le Mans finished. And for the second time in a row, Ferrari won. Ferrari has won a lot. And you'll see that in my racing career, I'm a little obsessed with the movie Ford versus Ferrari. I'm not just a Ferrari nut. I am... but I'm interested in the movie Ford versus Ferrari, and you'll see that. As a matter of fact, the current car that I'm racing, we call it the Faux-Rari. And the Faux-Rari is a Ford Mustang that I have customized to the point where it looks as much like a Ferrari as I can make it. And so that's what this is. And so I put a lot of time, bought a lot of stickers, and I'm imitating the 1967 330 P3, and here is a picture of a $15,000 model. I don't have the $15,000 model. It is the race car number 21 that Ferrari raced in. Lorenzo Bandini raced, and he DNF'd. He didn't finish. It's in the movie Ford versus Ferrari. On the backstretch, he pushed it too high, and I think he lunched his transmission. And so it was the highest finishing Ferrari in the 1966 Le Mans, which is this number 21. And that's the car that I am imitating in my building because one of the things in the 24 Hours of Lemons that is important is what your car looks like. So this is a racing series that is the largest racing series in the world, meaning the number of cars, the number of races, the number of people involved in it is the largest racing series in the world. And part of it has to do with the fact that it is not about competitive. There's a lot of competitive races out there. SCCA, Spec Miata, all these folks that like think they're really a real live racer, and so think they're a real live racer, and they're just weekend warriors. And so what the 24 Hours of Lemons did is said, how about we just let people be weekend warriors without pretending to be racers? And the problem is that if you've ever really raced, and I never have really raced. I've been on a track with people who think they're really racing. I've also ridden dirt bikes, and I've ridden dirt bikes in a way that I was with people who thought they were racing as well. And this is what I learned, and that is, if you're truly racing, and everyone is an equivalently prepared vehicle or a very close vehicle, the person who takes the most risk and is smart and skilled at dealing with large amounts of risk is most likely going to be successful. So someone who, like, you're going to a turn, two cars are going into the turn, the car that brakes last is gonna win. And but then you're taking the safety margin of braking at the right time. You brake later and hope the other guy brakes at the right time, and you hope that you somehow find your way around the turn. And so that you do that in a competitive race over and over and over. And the craziest people are the ones that tend to win, the people that risk their car getting crashed or crunched, because it's kind of like chicken. Every turn in a real race is like chicken. Lemons is exactly the opposite. In Lemons, there are lots of cars. Some are faster than you, some are slower than you. The ones that are faster than you, they're going to pass you sooner or later, so you might as well let them by. And the ones that are slower than you, you're going to eventually catch up with them, and you're going to be behind them, and they're going to see you, and they're going to like, well, here comes this car behind me, and I might as well let you pass. So in our racing, we get passed by probably 2/3 or more of the cars, and we pass 1/3 of the cars. And so it's fun enough. And what's really cool for me, one of the things I love about racing, if you ever watch some of my racing videos, what's cool for me in that is it is like, because there's so many cars faster than me, I get to see really good drivers, and I get to see them on the track. I'm in the car, and I'm watching the technique and the car preparation and the handling and the acceleration. I get to be a spectator to an amazing race with amazingly talented racers with amazingly skilled cars. And they go by me all the time, and I'm like, cool technique, cool technique, cool technique. Yeah, your car's faster than me. What are you proving? So, and then every once in a while, I'll catch up with a car that's slower than me, and then I'll be the guy. I don't want to be the slowest car on the track, and I also don't want to be the fastest car on the track. And so Lemons has a series of rules that basically say, if you touch another car, no matter whose fault it was, both cars have to come off. Any contact. If you sneak your wheels off the track to get a tiny advantage, and racers do this all the time, you come off. And if you do it badly enough, they will sit you, and you'll have to just sit the rest of the race. So you kind of get punished in timeout. You get black flag to get pulled off, and then you get a timeout. First timeout's pretty quick. Second timeout's a little longer. Like third time in a day, because we race for 12 hours a day. We get started at, well, it's not 12 hours, it's more like 9 hours, but we start in the morning and end in the evening. And if you make a mistake more than 3 times, you're taken out for that day. And it's all about safety, because they want the good drivers and the bad drivers to be able to be on the track together in a safe way. And if you are sort of zooming around and trying to stop someone from past you, which again in competitive racing happens, that's going to hurt somebody. It's going to dent a car. These cars are supposed to be $500, but they're not. They're not. And so if you spent like $8,000 to build a race car, most of my race cars are somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000 to build. You do not want to get it dented, and you just want to go with it's a team thing because it's an endurance race. So you want to go with like your 4 friends and some family members and sit around and get your turn to drive and keep track and watch on your phone who's doing well and what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, and then go home. No one gets hurt. No cars get hurt. Cars do get hurt, but it's very, very safe. We have roll cages in every car. The safety inspection is extremely serious. We overbuild these cars for the speeds and the amount of contact that we're going to get. There's probably about, out of 20 races, average 100 cars a race, there's probably 3 rollovers a year and nobody gets hurt. If you roll a car over, you get kicked out for a year. That's how serious they are about safety. So that's 24 Hours of Lemons, and I wouldn't race if I couldn't find a fun, respectful, decent. At the end of the first day, which is a Saturday night, we have a potluck at 6. The race stops at 5, and then we have a potluck at 6. And everyone from all the racing teams just sits around and talks and drinks beer if they like that kind of stuff. So it is a very supportive and friendly and just plain fun, because you just don't want to go to a racetrack by yourself and go round and round in circles. You need some other cars to pass you and pass them to feel like you're really racing, and that's what's fun about the 24 Hours of Lemons. So this is where I race. It's called Gingerman Raceway. I've raced this is South Haven, Michigan, which is about 2 hours from my home in mid-Michigan. We have raced at Pittsburgh. We have raced at Joliet, Illinois. We've raced at Wisconsin up by Green Bay at Road America track. We went to Kansas once. That was a 16-hour drive. Never again. We got within 2 to 5 hours is the kind of drive we want to go to a racetrack, because it takes a whole weekend. You show up on Thursday night and you leave Sunday night. And so this is my track. You can see the start-finish line is in the center of it. Then we go turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, 8, 9, 10. Then the back straight where we go really fast. And you can see me if you watch any of my online driving. You get to know this track after a while. Although I'll say that until I was actually on the track, I could watch all these videos and I never knew where I was on the track. Although my videos have a little kind of bug that tracks around on it, so you can kind of see it. In terms of the speeds for us are anywhere from a high of 100 miles an hour at the end of the back straight, to a low of about 35 miles an hour going around a really tight turn. And so you can think of this race as 9 hours, 1,000 miles, where you are accelerating as fast as you can for about 8 seconds, and then you're slamming on the brakes, then you're making a turn, squealing the tires, accelerate for 3 to 8 seconds, slam on the brakes, turn. So it's fun. You're strapped into a racing seat. You got these harnesses. Your head's all safe, and it's amazing feeling to be. It's almost like you're suspended in air in a properly installed racing seat with properly installed racing harness and properly installed helmet and the Hans device that stabilizes your head, because you don't have a airbag in a race car, so you have this thing that holds onto your head to make sure you don't hurt yourself. Safety, safety, safety. So that track has 10 turns. It is a little over 2 miles. We do anywhere from I do about somewhere between 2 minute and 3 second to 2 minute and 8 second laps. Our better drivers can get down to a minute 55. The track record is like under 140, like 137 or something like that. We're nowhere near that. I don't build super fast cars. I build cars for fun. So let's talk about some of the race cars that I've built over the years. So I got started in 2016. They have a thing in Lemons called the Arrive and Drive. I should have had some pictures of that, where somebody else has a car and you pay them money and you get to drive around in their car. So I did this Arrive and Drive. Well, let me see if I can make this happen. I'll show you a picture of my first Arrive and Drive. Okay, so here we go. So this is my first actual experience with a friend of mine, Brad Carter, and he had a Neon, and I paid him like $600 and rented a suit, and that was his little Neon called Doobie's Taxiola, which is from the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And so that's his brother, that's his trailer, that's me in a rented racing suit and a rented helmet. You can see in my eyes that I'm very afraid because I like car racing and I'm like about to get in a car and go racing, but I'd never done it before. And so you can see I'm a little bit nervous. It was raining and wet. I was staying there. They have a spare engine. There's their dog. And there's the car, Doobie's Taxiola, on the track. We're doing a pit where we're changing I'm putting adding gas to it. So that was my first experience, and at some point they shut the track down for too much rain. There I am. So that was my first experience, was 2016, and that was a great team. Brad runs a great team, and after that I decided I needed to have my own race car. So my brother found on Craigslist this 1990 Nissan Stanza. And it was already a race car, and it was already decorated, and it was decorated in the decoration of I think it might be 90s animated thing called Venture Brothers. And Venture Brothers was this animated cartoon that was just kind of tongue-in-cheek, and they were these bad guys that were these bugs, and so we had this car that had all these logos of this Venture Brother thing. And then I made costumes, because a big part of Lemons is cool costumes. So I made these costumes. I handcrafted these costumes out of plastic and bought all this stuff and made these shirts and bought these costumes from. And there we are wearing the costumes. You can see in the lower left that my son Brent is in here. He's wearing what's called a cool suit. It's basically a water-based air conditioner for your body on really, really hot days. And so he's standing by the car. He's standing by the car, experiencing on a very hot day what it's like when you pump ice water through these little things that are on your chest, right? There's tubes in your chest, and there's a pump and ice in the back of the car, and it pumps through your body. That car was fun. It got us into racing. But it was like all was breaking. And so I wanted another car. And I wanted a car that looked like, right, you can kind of see it here. I wanted a car that looked like the Sakaiger, which is our, let's go back to this. Okay. I wanted a car that looked like the Sakaiger, who is the mascot of my open source Sakai project. And so I wanted a Sakai car. And so I figured a Dodge Neon, and I had driven a Dodge Neon, the Doobie's Taxiola, and loved driving that car. In the 90s, early 2000s, Dodge Neons were the it car of small front-wheel drive racing. They were just the car, and they were the coolest car. And they were light, and they were performant. Having spent a lot of time underneath them, they have beautiful suspension. The back of them looks like a mini, the rear suspension on a Neon looks like a mini F1. It's just awesome. And so I decorated the Dodge Neon with all the things to make it look like a Sakaiger who has these little things on the side of their face. And so I made the thing have ears, which my brother never liked because he thought it was bad for aerodynamics. And I'm like, well, sorry, I don't care because I want it for marketing. And so we built this Neon. My brother Scott is my crew chief and chief mechanic. And so he kind of built this car in his garage and kind of cleaned up the suspension and replaced the brakes. You always put better brakes in race cars because braking is more important than going fast. And he built up the engine and he did a lot of stuff. And we put a lot of time in this car. You can see the logos on the car, Python Anywhere, School of Information, University of Michigan, Coursera, edX, Learner Privacy, Sakai, Sugi, all my things are there. And I made matching helmets, and I even commissioned a 3D print of a Sakaiger. And so that was a fun car. Neons are also hard to keep running. And so we spent a lot of time working on this Neon and keeping it running. But true to form, I built a series of costumes where we had these Sakaigers. I went to this place that does cosplay. This place that has cosplay, and they do cosplay outfits, and I got custom made Sakaiger shirts and leggings, and so we could walk around with Sakaiger shirts and leggings. And again, costuming the car and costuming the people is a kind of critical part of the 24 Hours of Lemons, and that is it creates an air of frivolity to break the tension that would otherwise be there if this was an air of being a serious racer. And so by walking around with furry ears, you are ensuring that it feels accessible to other people, and it makes it so that the good racers don't intimidate the racers who are just starting out. And so that was my cute little car. A beautiful car. I marketed. I got this t-shirt made, got all kinds of things made, and just loved that car to death. The problem is that Neons are unreliable. And so we had trouble getting any car to finish a race. We're way smarter now than we were. First off, don't start with a Neon. That's your first lesson, is don't use a Neon because it's just going to break. It's kind of like don't use Kubernetes if you're doing online stuff. Because all that's going to happen if you use Kubernetes is you're going to be disappointed. So in this picture, you see us building what we'd call Neon 2. And so we have a friend, Doc, and that's his daughter, Nita. In there, he has a shop, and they spent a winter just tearing apart. So Doc and Nita did most of the building on Neon 2. Scott did a lot of the work, but Doc and Nita sort of tore it out and kind of figured a bunch of things out. And when you build a race car, you got to tear the interior out, but you got to make sure you don't break anything. And then you got to put a new interior back in, and then you got to put racing seats in and racing harnesses and a roll cage and all that stuff. And so the idea is we would have two identically looking Neons, Neon 1 and Neon 2, and then if Neon 1 would crap out, we would just like, whoosh, here's Neon 2. And so I was even going to have like a little rented garage at the racetrack where I would keep my spare Neon in the garage. Neon 1 was a better prepared car than Neon 2 was, and Neon 1 was a little sportier. Neon 2 was a little more conservative, and in endurance racing, if you make your car too sporty, it tends to eat itself up. And so the idea was to make Neon 2 a more reliable car. And so the Neon 2 would always work, and I think we might have finished one race in Neon 2, started and finished. Neon 2 unfortunately got in an accident in Kansas City. We put a brand new driver in. We learned that lesson. Just because someone sounds cool doesn't mean they know how to drive a race car. My whole family, all my brothers and my nephews, all rode dirt bikes throughout our youth. I still have a dirt bike. And you know, you ride dirt bikes and you kind of you learn about like sliding, and you learn about leaning, and you learn about steering when it starts to slide and all that stuff. And you just assume that everybody had the same experience, lived life experience as you. And so someone talks a good talk and they seem to know things about plugs and wires and stuff. So you put him in the car and they just like, he made one lap and then T-boned it right into a concrete bunker, a barrier. And Neon 2 was never the same ever since. And we went back to Neon 1. We kind of rebent Neon 2 a little bit, kind of put it back in, but away you go. So, oh yeah. So what happened is we sat down one point in time and we said like, okay, we are not happy with neons. We just can't. We're getting halfway through a race, and something's going wrong, and we got to pull the car in, and we got to start fixing the car, take it to weld something or whatever. And we were like, I want a car that just is going to work. I don't want it to be fast. I want it to be boring. And so we sat around and talked to some people and came up with a notion of a Ford Mustang. And that Ford Mustang wanted to be between the years 2005 and 2009. And so it was, I'll jump ahead here. It was the first Mustang. There's the original Mustang style, and then there was a whole series of Mustangs that were kind of square and boxy. And this 2005 Mustang was the first Mustang that looked like the original. And it had a V6 in it, and I didn't want a super powered car. And I also had become obsessed with the Ford versus Ferrari movie, the 1966 Le Mans. And so I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool to take a black Mustang and prepare it to look like a Ford GT40 from Ford versus Ferrari in the 1966 24 Hours of Le Mans. So we built up a race car. My brother Scott. He's working on some really expensive disc brakes and disc rotors and disc cooling, and that's the kind of stuff you do to race cars, is just kind of find a way to take it. And it's not, I didn't put a bigger engine in it, but I sure put better brakes on it. And you can see like the Coursera logo and the Sakai logo and the School of Information logo and the Electronic Freedom Foundation logo as well. And that was our Mustang. And so that we finished that probably 3 years ago, and we raced that, and it really was a great car. You could drive it. It has a V6. It's got 200 horsepower. It's not overpowered. It is very neutral, stable. It was our first rear-wheel drive car, and like the first time if you've been driving front-wheel drive cars for racing and then you switch to rear-wheel drive cars, you're like, whoa, because front-wheel drive cars are both powering and steering, and so you're skidding your tires and turning them, and all the stuff in the front-wheel drive just gets torn up, and it just doesn't last very long. Really good racers who race front-wheel drive cars tend to change their constant CV joints almost every race, sometimes every night. And so we wanted to go to the rear-wheel drive car. You don't destroy bearings, you don't destroy this. It just works. You're driving the rear wheels, steering the front wheels, and you're not both driving and steering with the same wheels. And it just goes around turns way more neutral with a rear-wheel drive car. And so we prepared that car, and you can see that I kind of like put little silly hood scoops on, painted the wheels gold, put spinners on them, and tried as best we could to emulate the Ford GT40. And we've been running that car for about 3 years now, and I love the heck out of that car. We call that Black Mustang. But then we're still not done. To continue the Ford versus Ferrari thing, I wanted 2 Mustangs. And not because the Mustangs were so unreliable, but I might want to have one Mustang in the shop being worked on, like a whole new engine or something. So I need a second Mustang. And so I decided to make the second Mustang be a red car, and to imitate the number 21 in the 1966 Le Mans, the 330 P3, which is, many people say, is the most beautiful car ever built. and so you'll notice that I have the logos and went and found historically accurate stickers and all that stuff, and I like put fake fins on it the way the Ferrari has cooling fins. You'll see that my car has a Shell logo, a Shell oil logo on the door, and the Le Mans one has just a yellow circle, and that's because Ferrari was sponsored by Shell, but they couldn't put logos that were not approved by, that were not also sponsoring Le Mans or something. So Ferrari put a white circle on to exactly where the Shell would go, so people would be like, oh, that's just the Shell logo. But that if you look at this other races, you see Shell logos in those other races. But so I put the Shell logo in, and so I put scoops on it and put a wing on the back of it and tried my best to make a fake Ferrari. It's a pretty car. They're all my race cars are road legal. They have turn signals, and they even have like defrosters in them because sometimes you're driving and it's raining, and so these cars are quite roadable. They've got racing seats in it and a roll cage, but other than that, they're pretty roadable. And I've driven many thousands of miles in these race cars on the road, and I don't race on the road. I don't have to. I have a racetrack to race, and so driving them on the road, I've had police pull up next to me, and they just look at it and go, okay, here's this nerd with a bunch of numbers on his car. He's not making any trouble. He's not going through stop signs. He's not doing donuts. And so driving these cars on the road for me has never, ever, ever been a problem. So these are some of the results. I apologize for the names of the other cars. Most races have about 100 to 120 cars. And the key thing is to finish, to finish and to keep racing, and to race as much as you can. It's just like Le Mans. It's who goes the farthest distance in a certain amount of time. And so our car historically, like if you look at these, you can't read these, but we see like in the one where we came in 26th place out of 100 racers, I think. Our best time was just 2 minutes, and the most recent time was 2 minutes and 26 seconds. But you see a lot of other cars doing like 150s, minute 50, minute 52, and we're doing really, really well for the speed that we get, and so we tend to be slow and finish well. And so, like if you look at the other one where we came in 19th. Did 361 laps. The last lap was 2 minutes and 6 seconds. That could have been me driving, because 2 minutes and 6 is a typical race time for me. But the best time is 1 minute and 56. So one of our drivers drove 10 seconds faster than me in a lap. But that's part of racing, is you can't stress yourself. You can't just terrify yourself by living on the edge all the time. So sooner or later you got to put laps in and not destroy the driver. Now, Lemons events are open to the public. My next Lemons event is the 12th of July in Joliet, Illinois. If you live in the Illinois region or near Chicago, you can buy a $20 ticket, and it's basically an all access. You can find us, you can find me, you can talk to me. Several times at racetracks, people are like, wait a sec, you're my Python teacher. And so I turned it into an office hours. And so this is a fellow he's actually from the Chicago area. I think he works at Fermilab, or maybe another guy works at Fermilab. But he was hearing my voice, and he's like, you sound familiar to me. And so we made a little video. You're welcome to come and visit at a race. And maybe we'll make a video. And so now I want to transition to kind of a funny bit. I'm always trying to think of funny ways to explain generative AI. So this is racing and generative AI. So the Ferrari, the red Mustang, made its debut in May, just 2 months ago, at Gingerman. and in South Haven. And so it was great. We'd prepared it. We've been working on it for well over a year, preparing it. Past tech, it's going, it's running. We've got thousands and thousands, 2,000 to 3,000 miles of road time on it. We have track time. We have practice days. We go to practice days, and this car felt really super solid. And it just runs like a dream in some ways. It's just a dream car. It just runs so smooth. My black Mustang has like 180,000 miles on it, and this car has like 120,000 miles on it. So it just is a smoother car than the black Mustang. This is also a 2009 and not a 2005. And so first day, which is like 9 hours of racing, it ran great. And it was just perfect. And, it was like, there we go. It's going to be fine. Now, we had brought the other black Mustang as a spare in case something went wrong. And so it finished the day. It went great. And then we go to dinner. And so I drove the car to dinner because it needed to get gas filled up. So I just drove it to dinner. And coming back from dinner, all of a sudden, coming back from dinner, it would start blubbering. You'd put a little gas into it and go bub 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 bub, and then you even get more gas at bubber more. It would only run well up to about 2,500 RPMs. As soon as you got above 2,500 RPMs, it would blubber at all throttle positions. And we hadn't done anything. We hadn't even put new gas in yet. Everyone's like, you got bad gas. And the answer is, well, no, that was the gas we'd been racing on because I hadn't filled it up. I filled it up after it was blubbering. And so it's like, what in the heck is going on? And we just kind of decided at that point to switch to the black car. And so the next morning we finished the race in the black car. And that's why we bring two cars, is so that we finish the race in the black car. And so we get the car home. It's still running. We didn't drive it home. We took it home in a trailer and drove the black car home. And so I was like, I've always been fascinated. I'm always looking for examples of how I can learn more about GenAI. And so I asked ChatGPT a question. And the question is, I have a 2009 Mustang that blubbers at medium RPMs under moderate throttle. What might be wrong? And so it says, blubbering at medium RPMs could be caused by lots of issues. Here's some: fuel delivery, fuel pump, fuel filter, fuel injectors. Dirty or malfunctioning injectors might not deliver fuel properly. Ignition system problems, spark plugs, ignition coils, spark plug wires, air filter, mass airflow sensor. And it goes on. And it's sort of just answering my question about sensors, throttle position sensor, oxygen sensors. The ECU might be wrong. Mechanical issues like compression problems or timing, like you blew a head gasket. So this is kind of interesting because if you look at ChatGPT, I had a conversation with ChatGPT. It's like I'm talking to a person. And so that's one of the things that's cool about GenAI, is for us to do investigation. GenAI is a large language model, which means when you say I have a 2009 Mustang that blubbers at medium RPMs, it has parsed the words and turned them into meaning. And it understands what you said, and then it tries to match in all the other things that it's read and understood, the kinds of things that might be most helpful. So it's trying to make a connection between the concepts in your question. How it reads your question is like completely distinct and different. To me, that's half of the glory of GenAI, is the fact that you speak to it in your language and you give it complete sentences and you can have a follow-on conversation to get some clarification. And it's thinking about this from a concept perspective, not a word perspective. And the other thing that's cool about this is that it's giving you an answer. It's not just giving you resources, it's giving you an answer. It may or may not be the right answer. It could be wrong, but it's the best answer that it can come up with, given what you have told it, how it understands what you said, and what it knows about the problem space that you're asking. So let's compare and contrast this with asking the same question to Google. I have a 2009 Mustang that blubbers at medium RPMs under moderate throttle. Now, Google is looking at this much more as a series of words, right? It's not trying to say, what is he really talking about? It's like, what did he say? Which is different than what's the concept behind what he's trying to say. And so it finds a few things, right? And so what Google really wants to do is it doesn't really want to answer your question. It doesn't care about your question. It wants to present to you websites that might answer your question. And to some degree, and I have written a search engine, to some degree, it has a sense of what the most likely websites to answer your question are and less likely websites. And so you imagine that there are billions of websites, and Google is like, what out of the billion, give me the 1,000 most likely ones. Now it turns out that it doesn't work well if you do a search engine and it gives you the 1,000 most likely sites with the answer. And here's the problem. If you rank from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are going to look very similar because the algorithm it's using to figure out which pages are relevant is going to find pages that are almost identical. Like forum posts is what it's finding here in Google. It's finding forum posts. And so it turns out it can't just give you the 45 best ones. It actually has to give you a few of the best ones and then mix it in with some not so great ones, because it has to hope. If it gives you all things that are the same, you're like, look, you don't really know anything. But if it randomly mixes up these results and gives you high likelihood results and low likelihood results, if it's not right in how it calculated high likelihood, then it has a chance of making you happy. So to some degree, you can think of a Google search as you give it some words and it gives you back a list of things, and some of it Google just barely thinks it's close. It's thrown against the wall to see if you like it. And then what it's really doing, and how Google has become really good, is if you like the third thing and you click on it, and someone else likes the third thing with a very similar question and clicks on it, pretty soon the third thing becomes the first thing. So our behavior, how we click on these links, informs Google way more than the words. Now compare and contrast that with GenAI. GenAI took exactly your sentence, parsed it, understood it, took thousands of other documents, millions of other documents that it also had parsed, and did a concept map and gave you one answer. So that's why, I can make fun of GenAI, but if we start thinking about GenAI as unlike Google, we can actually have a conversation with GenAI, meaning that the language you're using is helpful to it, not, like blubbers. What is Google going to think about the word blubbers? Am I really interested in whales, or historic whale harvesting and resources like blubbers? And so I didn't get this. But if you were to go do this in a Google and you go farther and farther down, what you would find is that sooner or later Google just starts throwing crap at you. Just scroll farther down. The next thing you know, it's talking about a cold air intake for a Mustang for sale. Just hoping that all it wants you to do is say something, scroll down and click on something, because then it feels like it's made you happy. And even if what you finally find your way is the Ford versus Ferrari movie, when you say, I have a 2000 Mustang that blubbers, and then you go off and watch a clip from Ford versus Ferrari, it's done what it thinks it wants you. Whatever it is, it's satisfied you. And you feel like Google has done something for you. So that's a complete difference between ChatGPT and Google. And if I was at Google, I would be very, very worried, because it's just going to be hard for them. ChatGPT has low expectations. Google has high expectations. So that's part, just saying Google is ChatGPT, that's not necessarily going to work, because we have too much trust in Google. But we're trusting Google to give things for us to decide on, not making decisions for us. So that's going to be tough for Google. So armed with this, and you can't read this, but armed with this information from ChatGPT, because we're back home at this point. I sent a note to my brother Scott, who's our chief mechanic. I said, hey, Scott, I asked a question of ChatGPT about a Mustang V6. And then I just cut and pasted the whole response of ChatGPT. Just pasted it in. And it just said, like, what do you think? Right? And he's very good. He's like, Mustang GPT right now, because he's worked on Mustangs, and he's Neon GPT, and he's General Motors 3.8 liter engine GPT. And so almost instantly he sent me this reply back. He said, ironically, this is what I've already purchased, and it's already being shipped to me, and I'm going to install. Mass airflow sensor, oxygen sensor, spark plugs, spark plug wires, fuel and air, fuel pump assembly. So basically, he and ChatGPT reached the same conclusion. And his theory was, once he gets the car apart, you might as well put a whole bunch of new parts in and see what's wrong. Okay? And so there he was. He and ChatGPT, he had already ordered all the parts that ChatGPT would have told him to order. I guess I could have asked, hey, ChatGPT, where should I order these parts from? Wait a second. Let me see if I can make that. Let me see if I can figure that out. Come on. Let me see if I can get to ChatGPT quick enough. Probably not. Let's see if I can log into ChatGPT. Okay, let me bring this up. So I'm in the middle of a conversation, right? And I can ask ChatGPT, I have not done this. Where is a good place to mail order the necessary parts? Now I know that my brother would have the answer to this question. Let's see what it knows. Nope. First answer, Rock Auto. So if you're a car person, Summit Racing, we buy stuff from that, and American Muscle. CJ, wait a sec. Those are all Advance Auto. These are all places we buy stuff. But the first one is the right one, and that's Rock Auto. And so, again, you can see that ChatGPT is conceiving of what my concept is, what I'm trying to accomplish, right? It's great. So thank you, ChatGPT, for that sort of like little tiny. And so ChatGPT and my brother kind of agree where to buy the parts. Got to buy a bunch of parts. Let's do a lot of changing. And then about a couple of days later, Scott sent me a note. And in that note, he said, it was none of those things. Let me see if I can show you this. Oh shoot, I didn't have that thing up for a while. Crap, I didn't have that up. There's Scott's message to me. I need to have a switcher in my office. So let me see if I can show you. I got another camera here. Look at this. This is my handheld camera. I'm going to turn this handheld camera on. I want it to be able to live stream with a handheld camera. Let's see if it's working. Come on, camera. Is it working? Camera. It worked before. Camera 8. It was working. Oh, dang it all. I was going to show you this camera, but it's not coming up right. Oh, I know why. Oh, here it is. It's upright. Okay, hang on. It finally woke up. Okay, let's take camera 8. There you are. It's camera 8. You can kind of see my setup, right? There's your chat right there. You can see the thing I'm sharing. That's the screen. Hey, and there's the Sakaiger. Hello, Sakaiger. This is my office view. That's how I switch it. How I'm watching. You can see the audio stuff. So that's how it's going. Okay. There's my switcher. There's my laptop. Here's my coffee. Okay, so here we go. Now I can show you what's going on here. So these are spark plug wires. Right? Okay, let's zoom in and out here. Spark plug wires. Okay, these are spark plug wires. This is a normal spark plug wire. This is an abnormal spark plug wire. And so what it is you can see that the insulation of the abnormal spark plug wire was eaten, and some of the insulation on that is eaten. You can see that parts are eaten and not eaten. Okay, so let's go back. See, my cool camera worked. I'll put that over here. Okay, my cool remote. I want it to be able to take that into the garage and live stream working on the car. So I'm still working up to that in my streaming. So the problem with these things, now that I've shown you a close-up version of it, is that this spark plug wire was by the battery. And it turns out that there are two kinds of batteries in this world, 12-volt batteries. One is a regular, traditional, liquid-filled battery that's acid, sulfuric acid. And the other is what's called an AGM battery. It's got a something glass mat, absorbed glass mat. I think it's absorbed glass mat. And you're supposed to, in a race car, you're supposed to use an AGM battery because then you don't have acid sloshing around. Or if you have an accident and it blows up and you get acid spraying all over the place, that's not good, right? Because you can break a battery in an accident. So you're supposed to have an AGM battery in the car. And so we did not have an AGM battery in the car. And so the battery is like here, and this plug wire was here. There was only one plug wire close to the battery, and in right turns, the centrifugal force would slosh the fluid out of the battery onto this thing, and it basically ate the edge off. And here's the thing, it ate it and ate it and ate it, and eventually while we were at dinner, it ate through enough so that the electricity would arc right out of this thing. And so Scott didn't guess it, ChatGPT didn't guess it, that we had the wrong battery. But Scott, who is a ChatGPT that was started working on a car, and he sees this and he goes like, oh, that's what it is. And then he looks at the battery and like, we didn't switch the battery. So we screwed, ooh, that's kind of a mess. Let me put this back in a box. So there you go. So there's the lesson in it all, right? The lesson in it all is that somebody looking at the problem straight at it has more information than either an expert on email or an expert ChatGPT. And it wasn't like Scott on email and ChatGPT were wrong. It's just they weren't right. And the whole thing of like, oh, wow, it's the battery, and we put the wrong battery in. You just wouldn't expect that. So there we go, the ChatGPT. Let me go back to this. Yeah. And so if you look, there's a picture with the two cables that I just showed you. And so there is the lesson. So that's all I wanted to share with you. Thank you for sharing the hobby.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the DrChuck Plus podcast. To find out when the next live event is, visit live.drchuck.com. To find DrChuck's YouTube, visit plus.drchuck.com. And for DrChuck's online courses, they can be found at online.drchuck.com.